Men, you just need to do better. Stop being lazy and do the work, because that's why you're lonely. That's the problem between men and women right now. It is men. It is entirely men that are at fault. You are very much to blame for the widening gender divide. And quite frankly, it's disappointing. And I won't tell you how, but I'm just going to tell you to do better, okay? And of course, I need to do nothing, because I am doing perfectly well. And yes, it's entirely you at fault. So do better. Come back and see me once you've done better, okay? Okay, hopefully you are clear that that was entirely sarcasm. I commented last week on a piece by Cosmopolitan India that essentially said that men were lonely because they refused to get better. Ugh, that language in itself just gives me the ick. And I commented saying it was this narrative that was actually tired, and we could just do a lot better by focusing on solution over issue. Also, I just think it's wildly toxic to place all blame at the feet of men, to assume that men as a gender at large are just not doing the work, are emotionally illiterate, and women, of course, are perfect and need not do the work. Or they're already all doing the work. I think this is what, let me be factually correct, the article implied women are already showing up and doing the work. And I'm just bored of seeing it. I'm bored of seeing it because it shames men, it drives men into silence, it puts this narrative in women's minds even that men are terrible. So it doesn't help women either, whether they already believe what they're reading or they just start to believe it because of what they're reading. And something I'm very passionate about is how we create the reality that we expect. So slowly, I feel like as a society at large, we are being poisoned into thinking that men are wildly inaccurate, women should put them in the bin, and everyone lives happily ever after, very much separate and apart. And I am not here to perpetuate that narrative, because it's damaging, it's unnecessary, and it's inaccurate. But I do want to talk about what doing the work might mean. Because I think that is just such a generic and throwaway statement, which is why I had issue with the article in the first place. So I'd just like to unpack a little bit on what doing the work really means and looks like, in my perspective, and how, as men, you can do better and do the work. Please and thank you. Again, sarcasm. Okay, number one, fresh off the top of my head. Focus entirely on yourself. So that could be maybe not what you were expecting to hear, but doing the work has absolutely nothing to do with anybody else. It is not about making you a better man for women to love. First and foremost, it is about you and your life experience and your happiness. And I want to be very clear about that. I fundamentally and wholeheartedly believe you do the work for yourself and for your human experience. Now, there's a wonderful, happy, coincidental side effect that just in turn makes you a better human for the people around you and results in you living a life more in alignment with what you actually want, having more money, having love, whatever it is you desire. But it all starts with a desire for yourself, for your own happiness and satisfaction. And in fact, it should never stop. So you do not do the work and get better and get a relationship and then happy days, that's done, task ticked off. You should always, always be your own number one priority. Fact. I do not want a relationship with a man that prioritises me over himself, nor will I ever prioritise a man over myself. Been there and done that, and I've got the scars to prove it doesn't work. We as human beings have a real issue with putting ourselves first. But if we don't, then we can't show up for those that we care about anyway. So it's crazy wild. It is not selfish to focus on your own self-awareness, well-being, and generally just be very curious and in tune with yourself and your needs. That is fundamental to being able to show up in life for anyone or anything else. Okay, so we're starting with you. This is about you. Doing the work is an entire journey into self-curiosity. It is about openness and honesty. It is about dropping shame and refusing to be performative in life any longer. Because those things that I just named are everything that gets in the way of you experiencing true connection with other people in life. And they're also the factors that block human literacy in terms of understanding how to navigate yourself and understand others in interpersonal relationships. Because I believe that is absolutely at the root of most of what we're experiencing as issues between men and women. I think it's a lack of human emotional literacy skills. Because when are we taught those? Where was the class at school that taught us how to understand ourselves, let alone then navigate other people, which is really fucking complex? Like, as someone who is very self-aware, and dare I credit myself and say also I have very good communication skills and ability to read other people, it's still really fucking complex and tiring navigating myself plus others. Full stop. It's not a perfect art or science, and it never will be. And there's something about having a degree of humility and some appreciation for other people's efforts, even when it's not perfect. And I think we could all do a lot better at that, both for ourselves and other people. Okay, so it's that inner self-inquiry, and I will do a workshop on this subject, and I will break it down into more of an actionable roadmap, shall we say. Shall we bring in some corporate speak? We'll have a roadmap and we'll break down how you should do the work. But for now, I just want to talk more generally about my beliefs as to what doing the work actually entails through my own experience, but also that of the men that I work with on a one-to-one basis and men in my community, and the very open and honest conversations we have about these things. We have about shame, sexual desires, having to be performative in life, feeling very blamed and villainized in society at the moment. This is everything, the world I exist within and everything that I care passionately about. So doing the work, I'm going to advocate for you to focus on yourself. And before you do anything external, I want you to get really honest about where you're living life in a way that actually just doesn't feel great to you. Whether it's your career, how you're measuring success, the types of relationships you're having, the lifestyle that you live day to day, where you actually live, the type of sex you're having. I don't care what it is, do a whole life audit and dare to get a bit honest about where actually it just isn't working for you, where it doesn't feel like it's in alignment with what actually makes you happy. Because you will never be able to show up to a relationship with a woman in a way that is fulfilling for both of you and authentic for both of you if there is a large part of you that is almost lying to yourself. There will always be that disconnect because you're fighting so much inside yourself. You're trying to wrestle with the part of you that knows you want something different and the other part of you that's just trying to quiet that part and stick with like logic and societal expectations and norms, and also sunk cost fallacy. I think we get in this trap as well, like because you've lived life a certain way up until this point, you think you've got to keep doing it that way, which by the way is just not true. But until you get honest with yourself, you can't be honest with those around you. And so that is going to get in the way of experiencing true human connection. There's something also about becoming an observer to your own life. And I think that personally has been the most profound and empowering thing that I've done for myself. Because noticing how you actually feel, noticing where you're triggered, paying attention to what's going on in here allows you to get curious about why, find the cause or the pattern and make the correction. And it's always about us, by the way. So other people might, quote unquote, cause us to feel a certain way through their words or actions. However, what it triggers in us is something for us to pay attention to. It's something for us to notice and correct. So they might trigger where we have a lack of self-confidence, where we might have abandonment wounds, whatever. So being an observer of your own life will just start to give you really valuable information as to what makes you feel good, what makes you feel less good, and where you are triggered, therefore perhaps have something to pay attention to. And the performative piece. So we talk about men doing the work, but actually I'd like to talk a lot more about men dropping performance. This pressure to be a particular version of yourself, to live up to some romanticized expectation of what a real man is quite frankly killing you. We were not born to fit a societal mold or the mold of those who have expectations of us. We were all born to be the most authentic expression of ourselves that is possible to be. And so in turn, deliver our own unique signature into the world, whatever that might be for each of us individually. But you cannot do that if you're trying to perform a role. And I think what we get twisted in society today is when we desire something, or we want something to be different, or we want to have something we don't have right now, we focus on the external, and we focus on the gap, and we focus on the lack. And instead, what we need to focus on is ourself, and being the version of ourself that has that thing we desire, and putting our time, energy, and effort into showing up as the best version of ourselves it's possible to be, with this inner state of happiness and security and groundedness. And so when you're being performative, you can't possibly do that because you aren't showing up to life as your genuine, unique self. You're showing up in the role of what you think is expected of you. And the reason that's problematic for you and others is because you will attract in people and situations and experiences that match that performative self that you are being. But by the very notion that it's performative, it means it's not your true self, and therefore the things you're attracting are not actually for your best and truest happiness. And so the cycle perpetuates. You continue fulfilling a role, you continue attracting things that match the role, but meanwhile inside, you don't have true happiness and fulfillment. Even if that role you're playing causes you to attract all of the most beautiful women in the world, all of the riches in the world, a big yacht, a Rolex, I don't know, whatever you want, private jet, you name it. Even if this performative role is at a level that those are the things you're calling in, you still won't be happy if it isn't what your true self should be experiencing. And that is why, back to my opening statement, doing the work first and foremost starts with getting very honest about yourself and who you want to be in the world, and fuck what society tells you you're meant to be, fuck what your parents expect you to be, fuck all of that. It is your life and your fucking choice as to who you get to be. And here is the magical thing. When you start showing up as that man who you truly are, who you want to be, who you enjoy being, first of all, there will absolutely be some disruption. There has to be. Because everything that exists around you that isn't true to you needs to fall away. So that will be people leaving your life, maybe jobs ending, change in finances, whatever it might be. There will be a reorganization going on. Because everything that is false needs to drop away. Because now you're showing up as your true self, those aren't the experiences that match you anymore. So all of that needs to go. So there will be some disruption. I want to be clear about that. Next will probably come a void, emptiness. So if you survive the disruption, you then get to the emptiness, and that might be the second point where you think, what the fuck have I done? Now my life is lonely and empty. Please trust the void. Please trust the void. This is the rearrangement. So we've gutted the house. Let's use an analogy. We're doing a renovation. We've gutted the house. We've gotten rid of everything that doesn't suit what we want it to look like in the future. Fine. But now there's an empty space. Now the rooms are empty. The walls are blank because we're waiting for the new furniture to be delivered. We're waiting for the decorating to be done. But right now it's just an empty shell. And that's the moment where we go, fuck. Probably should have stuck with what I already had, because maybe it wasn't entirely my preference, but it was better than nothing. Please trust the void. It will not last for long, I promise. But in the void is where people, experiences, opportunities that match your true self start arriving. Magic. And before you know it, you're living a life that actually feels fulfilling to you. Because you're showing up as your true self, therefore you're attracting experiences and people that match that true self. Voila. I could say no more, and that would be enough to change your life, to be quite frank, because it's magic. The reason why people don't do it is because it's fucking scary, like going through the upheaval. Even the honesty to admit that you're not happy is fucking terrifying. And then we focus on too much of how. How do I achieve the life that I now want? How do I make it happen? Irrelevant. That is not your business. The thing that is your responsibility is to start showing up as the person you actually want to be, and the how will take care of itself. Wild synchronicities, a conversation overheard, an email, an offer, blah, blah. There is science behind this, and we can do a whole deep dive, and I will do that as part of the workshop. I will give you the science as to why what I'm saying is factually accurate and not just mystical woo-woo. But it's not your business as to how to achieve what you want. It's just your business to be fucking honest about it and start showing up as the person who has that life, the version of you who is in line with what you actually want, and then the how takes care of itself. Like magic. The final thing I'm going to say, because this is only meant to be a high-level summary, we will deep dive into the workshop. So if this is resonating, please connect with me. Follow me on Instagram, however you care to connect with me. Come be part of my world so that you do not miss the workshop. I also do work one-to-one with a select number of clients. So if this is hitting hard and you're like, fuck, I want to do this with my life, but I don't know how to start, and this all sounds scary and I need help, this is what I'm really good at. So again, the links are on my Instagram, but please message me. I'll never pretend I can help you if I can't. But I'm really good at getting a sense of what's holding people back and helping them see it. And once you see it, you can't unsee it, and it changes your whole life. The final thing I'm going to talk about is being self-sourced. So I get asked a lot of questions like, how can I approach a woman? Or do women prefer older men or younger men? And all of this, I give the same answer at its core, which is stop focusing out there and focus in here. Because here's the thing. If you are able to get yourself to a place where you know that you are valid and worthy, you make yourself feel whole and happy, and you source that from within rather than needing to take it from outside of you, that is the key to getting everything you want and more, because you become incredibly magnetic when you are whole and self-sourced, and you're not needing to take from outside of you, so you don't need validation from women, or you don't worry about, the question of how to approach women. Instantly, to me, I read beneath that a lack of self-confidence or a need for validation or a wound around rejection. That's what that question tells me. That might seem like quite a trivial surface level question, but believe me, I will find the much deeper root behind it. So forget how to approach a woman and focus instead on being your happiest, wholest, self-sourced version of you possible. Now, this doesn't mean life is always perfect, by the way. Self-sourced means even when times are shit, you know how to deal with that from within rather than chasing cheap highs. Okay, so becoming self-sourced and whole, you will be magnetic because it's all energy. And we all must have experienced this kind of like sleazy sales tactic, need. Ugh, doesn't it make you just do this? Or you might have experienced it from women where they're just needy for your time, energy, and attention, and it repels you. It repels you, and it works both ways. I, as a self-sourced whole woman, I'm repelled by men that need anything from me. I don't like it. Like, do not take from me. Like, we can come together and create something more magnificent, both from our individual places of wholeness, for sure. But don't come looking to fill your lack from me, because that instantly repels me. So yeah, trivial things like what age men, women prefer, it's all just nonsense, because become self-sourced, become whole and complete within yourself, and you will attract a woman who, if she thought she wanted younger men only and you're older, do you know what? You'll probably become really attractive to her. So this is why this focusing on the external is just a thankless task and a waste of energy. As much as possible, we need to come from here, and then again, we magnetize all of those things that are meant for us with ease, without external efforting, without performance, without force and pushing and chasing. What is meant for us will find us, because we are coming from the right state of being. Okay, that was a short introduction as to what I think doing the work is, because I think it gets twisted, and I think it can sound like, oh, just go to therapy once a week or focus on being a better man to women, and it isn't that. It isn't that at all. It's about focusing on being the best version of yourself, for your true happiness and desire, not becoming the best version of yourself for some performative role, for what society expects of you, for what your parents expect of you. That is not doing the work. That is further adding to the burden of being performative. I believe everybody in life should just get to show up as their truest selves. And if we all did that, we'd all be a damn sight happier. And relationships between men and women in particular would be much improved, because nobody would be looking to take from each other. We wouldn't be needing validation from one another. We wouldn't be trying to be the person that they want us to be, which is just exhausting and impossible, and at some point fails. We could all just be really open and honest about our wants and needs and attract those things that fulfill them. And wouldn't that be a much more straightforward way to do life? Just a thought. Okay, I think that's enough for now, but keep your eyes peeled for the workshop, because I would love to dive deeper into this and give you more practical takeaways. But for now, I just wanted to introduce the concept of how doing the work has nothing to do with living up to expectations of others, and everything to do about getting really open, honest, and curious with yourself and showing up to life as your true self, not your performative self. Okay, thank you for listening, and let's connect soon.